Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up podcast. Today, we're back from our special 100th episode, and we're diving right back into divisions. We're going to do the NFC South today, so some good fantasy pieces in this division, so that'll be fun to talk about, and then, the Saints. That's Nick. I'm Theo. This is the Drafted Up podcast. You know where to find us. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you watch or listen to your podcast. We're there. Like, rate, subscribe, review, follow, share, all that good stuff. How you doing today, Nick?
Doing good, man. Just waiting for the Saints to announce their starter, so we didn't have to talk about two guys, but that didn't happen, so now we're just stuck talking about more Saints, which, hey, man, that's what the people want.
Yeah.
They just want us to talk about terrible teams.
Talk about the Saints, and then how they're just going to be bad for the next 3 years just so they can get Arch Manning. They're in the Sixers trust the process mode over there in New Orleans.
Oh, Godspeed. We've seen how well that has worked for Philly.
Didn't work out for the Sixers one bit. Welcome to the Dribble It Up podcast.
No.
Just
well out of basketball. Let's go back 10 years ago. I can talk ball.
That would last
been a hot minute.
One episode.
LeBron, he's still the GOAT, so it's all right. He's still balling.
Would have to buy NBA 2K just to learn players again, because I don't know where anyone is anymore. All right. Some NFL news before we dive into the division. The Saints, like you said, didn't name their starting quarterback yet. They're the only team. We got word out of Cleveland that Joe Flacco is the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. So that is great for Jerry Jeudy, great for Cedric Tillman, great for David Njoku early on in the season while we're guaranteed Joe Flacco. I honestly think he's going to play most of the year, but I've had that stance from the start. So
I think it's going to be most of the fantasy year.
Yeah.
I think he's going to at least play 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And if that, then the regular fantasy season, I think is usually like 12 or 13 weeks, something like that. And then 13, 14, 15.
14, 15, 16.
16 or playoffs, something like that. Yeah. So if we're getting 8-9 games.
15, 16,
yeah, they
17.
pushed the season back.
Yeah. Still
so it is another game. That is true. But if Flacco plays 8-9 games, that's half the season, if not a little bit more. So I think it's best for Njoku. I think that's really who it helps out here.
Yep. I low-key kind of hope the Browns just win. Just because then Joe Flacco...
They have to keep Flacco in.
They're not going to make the quarterback change if they're winning football games. So that's
defense is good enough.
Yeah. So Flacco's just got to look good. They asked him about it. Did you hear his quote when they asked him about?
Yeah. Yes.
He was just like, you guys know how that goes. So like,
yeah, you know how that goes by now.
Homie just doesn't care. He's a grandpa.
This is the Joe Flacco I like. I didn't like old Joe Flacco. Well, I do like old Joe Flacco. I didn't like young Joe Flacco. He was way too overhyped. But you give me laid back, nonchalant, old man Joe Flacco, dude. Oh, he's such a vibe, baby. And he's out there just chucking it, dude. So he's great for fantasy. I love it.
Yeah. So, but like, my mindset has been that Joe Flacco's going to be the quarterback most of the year, and I've kind of had the Browns players already bumped up. David Njoku, I was really high on. Jerry Jeudy, almost had him in the wide receiver 2 conversation. Cedric Tillman we're a fan of him as a late round sleeper. Sure. I actually think he benefits the most sans Njoku. Like, I think Jerry Jeudy would have been fine.
I agree.
But I'm not gonna bump Jeudy up more just because Flacco's in. But like,
I agree.
Tillman's pretty much a free pick, where Jeudy, you're drafting him 6th, 7th round. Tillman's last round of your draft. He's worth the upside shot. He was as, statistical, and even with Jerry Jeudy in those couple games there before he got banged up. So we just kind of forget about that because of the run Jeudy went on.
That's my main thing about the whole thing. The thing with Tillman and Jeudy, they're being drafted so far apart from each other. But the games they played with each other last year with Winston, Tillman was on par with Jeudy. The one game he outscored him. So if I can get that kind of production later in the draft, I'm way more in on Tillman than I am Jeudy. Obviously, I have Jeudy ranked higher, but I would rather take the ADP with Tillman.
Yeah, just
late round in the draft, value, high upside.
You don't find a lot of guys with that sort of upside that late, so that's great for Cedric Tillman there. And then the Indianapolis Colts named their starter, and it's not Anthony Richardson; it is Daniel Jones. So Danny Dimes back in the league as a starter. This is my mindset on the Colts. They're going to be bad regardless, so I would have went with Anthony Richardson just to see the upside. But from a fantasy standpoint, this is better for the Indianapolis Colts players. Josh Downs banged up, but you can draft him comfortably. Even Michael Pittman is a fine pick. Like Daniel Jones just spoke highly of Pittman. Like he sees him as the number one. So Michael Pittman could become a nice late round value for you. And then Tyler Warren as well. And Jonathan Taylor. Like they're a little bit more competitive with Daniel Jones, but a cap ceiling in terms of winning games. So for being competitive, though, keeps the run game involved, and that's best for Jonathan Taylor because he's not going to catch a ton of passes. So this is good for the Colts from a fantasy standpoint, regardless of who the quarterback was, though. I just thought this was a bad football team, but now you can be a little more confident when you draft an Indianapolis Colts player, where before it was just like, oh, are they worth it? Because they're all just kind of fluttering around the same area. But now I think any of the three passing game options, and then Jonathan Taylor, I think he's the one who benefits the most from having Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I would say it helps Warren out the most. I think Richardson really wouldn't use Warren the way not a good quarterback would, but a real quarterback would. And I think Danny Jones he's going to get these guys the ball. And I know he didn't have many options in New York, but I would say this is a way more talented offense than he ever had with the Giants, and that's coming from a Giants fan. He's surrounded by Warren, Downs, Pittman, JT
last year.
Yeah, but he had Neighbors and he had Barkley. Those are really the two kind of guys he had. But I love Jonathan Taylor. He's an elite running back in my eyes. You give him that elite running back, and then you also add Warren, who's an elite prospect, and you Downs and Pittman. I love Downs. And Pittman can be that kind of guy if he steps up, stays healthy. So this is way better for the team. It's way better for us fantasy guys. I think it's the right move for sure.
Yeah. We'll see how it plays out. Like I said, I've been out on the Colts as a team from the jump, so it didn't really matter quarterback wise. But from a fantasy standpoint, it is nice that I can snag one of these guys because they're going at a value at this point and be comfortable with it and not have to worry about. Anthony Richardson only throwing the ball 15 times and hoping that
he completes 6 of them.
Go to the Colt I have.
Yeah. If Anthony Richardson was a quarterback, to be having 2 of these guys as values in fantasy, I don't think that would have been a possibility. I don't think 2 of these guys would have been able to be startable with Anthony Richardson. With Danny Jones, he can give you the upside of a couple catches per guy, and it's also Danny Jones is now in like super flex leagues. He rushes the ball. Danny Jones is now a streamable quarterback. It's not pretty per se, but he's shown that he could be a QB1 on weeks because of his rushing upside. So he's a guy you can stream now.
Yeah, he had a couple QB1 finishes last year in the little bit of time he did play, but with Anthony Richardson there, though, he also probably sniped some goal line touchdowns from Jonathan Taylor. So Daniel Jones probably won't steal too many of those compared to Richardson. So Taylor now, could have double-digit touchdown upside. A little bit more confident with that than I would have been with Richardson playing. I
would say it bumps the pass catchers up around in my eyes. I would take Warren now around earlier. I would take Downs and Pittman around earlier. Jonathan Taylor, I'm not bumping him up much.
Yeah,
he's still like a second.
He's staying in the mid to late second round. Yeah.
Sure.
Anthony Richardson, I do kind of hope like one of those teams. Like I saw I think it was Dan Orlovsky said the Eagles should trade for him, and that just feels like an Eagles move. But I'd also love to see Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan or Kevin O'Connell get their hands on him to see if they can do anything with him. Because, like I said, my stance on Richardson has always been you're never going to know what you truly have if he doesn't get reps, because this guy hasn't played football, and the only way for him to get better is to actually play. But at the same time, he has become a detrimental to the team. You got to base everything around him. You pretty much got to cut off one side of the field. I'm not giving up on him. I still think the upside's there for him to do something if he gets in the right situation. But there's few teams where, if J.J. McCarthy doesn't hit in Minnesota, maybe Kevin O'Connell does something with Anthony Richardson. I don't know. But I do hope someone tries to take a shot on him, even a rebuilding team. Maybe New Orleans. He's as good as Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler. Why not?
Yeah, I don't think the future quarterback of the Saints is on that roster, so I could see that. But it's really starting to smell like a Trey Lance situation to me. I don't think it's going to pan out. I don't think it's it. He's not my kind of guy.
Trey Lance and Anthony Richardson have really hurt the draft quarterbacks with potential. Even Zach Wilson as well. Draft these guys just based off one season, whereas you now want a quarterback who's playing a good amount of college football. The experience, look at Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels,
Cam Ward.
Yep. We'll see how that works out. Caleb Williams even played a decent amount, and he struggled last year, obviously. So we'll see. But yeah, it's sort of leaning that way where you don't see a lot of these project quarterbacks go earlier. Like Jalen Milroe, years ago would have been a first-round pick, and he went round 2 or 3 this past year.
I think a big part of it is that these coaches don't have a long tenure job. If you draft a prospect quarterback and you only have 2 years to prove it, you don't have time to develop him, and it's kind of the Colts situation. They came in, they drafted the prospect quarterback Anthony Richardson 4th overall. You don't have this much time to develop the time he needs to develop. Yep. So, and I think that's why Danny Jones is in right now. They're coaching for their jobs this season. And if they don't win games, they're out of a job. So I don't think Anthony Richardson's going to keep their job this season.
No, I don't think Daniel Jones keeps their job either.
I agree, but I think if I had to place a lottery ticket on one of them, I'm placing it on Jones to get some wins compared to Richardson.
That's not a knock to Shane Steichen. I like Shane Steichen as a coach.
No, I like Steichen as a coach for sure.
I think he'll get fired and then he'll year or two again as a coordinator, and I think he will get another head coaching job. I think he's creative enough offensively.
Yep.
All right. Devon Acham banged up. We officially have word on what the injury is. It was a calf, which not great.
I'd rather a groin injury, but calf or hamstring, you'd never love it.
Yeah, week 1, up in the air. I expect him to be out there. He might be on a pitch count. So we'll see where that goes for Achane. I've been high on him just from a volume standpoint, and the fact that they trade Jonnu Smith, and he was so involved last year in the passing game with Tua, and if Tua's there, Achane is a really, really good fantasy running back, and it's night and day when Tua's not there for Achane. So we'll see there. Ollie Gordon's been really good for them in the preseason, way better than Jalen Wright. And your guy Alexander Madison out for the year, so we'll see. Maybe they do trade for Brian Robinson, who is apparently on his way out in Washington. He wasn't in attendance at their last preseason game. He's put his house up for sale. I expect him to be off this roster in the next week. So we'll see. Maybe Miami does make the move for him. I think that'd be the perfect complement to Achane. It would be a 1-year rental because I doubt they'd re-sign him.
I agree.
Other options would be Houston, Cincinnati, maybe. I would love him in Dallas. He'd be the best running back on that roster, but I doubt we see that happen.
I agree.
Anywhere else he could end up?
I
can't think of any off the top of my head now. Yeah,
I really think you nailed it there with
Cleveland. I guess if they don't get jumped, but
I was going to bring up
Ford
Cleveland, but I don't know if they're in a position to give up draft capital for a 1-year rental running back. I don't think it's in the cards for Cleveland to be good this year, so it's not even worth it. Yeah, they could use another running back down there.
Good backup to Alvin Kamara.
It's a perfect combo for sure.
Kendre Miller there, but yeah. So Brian Robinson probably on his way out. Probably because of Corey Krosky Merritt, aka Bill.
Bill. Let's go by Bill.
I liked him coming out. He was real flashy on tape. Minimal college stuff because of the whole eligibility nonsense. But he likely earns his way into this lineup. I think it'll be Eckler early on, but I think
Chris Rodriguez is also taking snaps in their last preseason game. Chris Rodriguez was playing with the starters to where then Bill came in after that. So I think it's going to be a mix of all of them, but I think it's going to be
come the end of the year. I think it'll be
I think it's going to be Eckler and Bill for sure. Yep. And I moved Eckler up my rankings. I have him over Brian Robinson now. I think he's going to be the one to really benefit from this. He showed last year that when he got the chance, he was still Austin Eckler. It wasn't elite Austin Eckler, but man, it was still really productive out of a flex position.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's getting a little bit more touches in that offense, I like that a lot. So give me Eckler, and then give me Bill late in the drafts. But man, if Robinson gets dipped, us fantasy guys are gonna shoot Bill up the rankings, dude. He's gonna be way too high in my eyes.
Yeah. It all depends too. Like in experienced leagues, I do think he'll go earlier than I want to take him. But home leagues, he's not a known commodity, and this is real early. Like drafts are like this weekend and next weekend, really. Yeah. And I think home leagues, cross scheme merit, you can probably still get late. But if you're in like a paid league or just a real deep league, I think he does get a little bump where I'm just like, I'm too iffy on him. Where I'd rather still just take Eckler because he's a value where he's going. I don't think he's going to get bumped up too high in experienced leagues.
Yeah, no, I agree. Eckler would still be my guy. I like Eckler a lot this year. I liked him where he was going to begin with Brian Robinson there. So if you take Brian Robinson out of the equation now, I really like Austin Eckler this year then.
And then the Niners, they traded for Sky Moore. They need the receiving depth. Jennings banged up. Demarcus Robinson getting suspended 3 games. Jacob Cowing has a hamstring or a foot, and all their receivers. Jordan Watkins, the kid they drafted from Ole Miss, also hurt. Ricky Pearsall is the only healthy receiver of value on this roster right now. So Sky Moore, I don't think it does much for fantasy. If anything, he'll just kind of be there as a body. He might be worth a DFS dart throw, but for
even that, I'm out.
Leagues,
he had 3 targets, 0 catches last year, and they traded a 6 for him. They got a 5th for Debo. That's insane. Like, that value, you could have had Debo, you just could have kept him. I get you didn't want to pay him, but it's really biting you in the ass now. You have no weapons on that team, receiving wise. You still have Kittle and McCaffrey, obviously, but I really like Ricky Pearsall though, because Ricky Pearsall is the only healthy guy in that room. I like him a little bit more than Jennings to begin with, so I liked him coming out of Florida last year. He runs clean routes, smooth hands, plays physical. I like Ricky Pearsall a lot this year.
Yeah. Sky Moore though. I was a Sky Moore truther.
God, he's terrible.
I was in on him. I remember being a real upset. I didn't get him in our home league because he went in the 6th round. I don't remember who took him, but I was like, man, Sky Moore, that was my guy. That was my sleeper.
Dude, the Kansas City hype back in the day is insane. Yes, lucky you. You lucked out. Yep. Another receiver was traded though as well. Devon Vele.
Yep. We'll
traded to New Orleans.
The Saints. They gave up a ton.
Yeah, we'll get there. 4th and a 7th, 2 picks. So
and they got
George
Vele
Pickens went for a 3rd. Yeah, it was a pick swap, but that's a lot.
Yeah. And in a real life trade, the Jets traded for Harrison Phillips and the Minnesota Vikings. They also traded for Briggs, the defensive tackle from the Browns as well. So they're beefing up their defensive line. Some rumors swirling around that the Vikings might be eyeing up Adam Thielen, who we're going to talk about today as well, currently with the Carolina Panthers. But Vikings receiving depth pretty banged up. Jalen Naylor hurt. Sure. Jordan Addison getting suspended. It's really Justin Jefferson and no one else there. So I would not be opposed to Adam Thielen coming back to the platform.
Carolina follows the trend that Denver did. It's already a crowded receiving room. If you can dip one of these targets, it opens up so much for everyone else is there. So if they get rid of Thielen, I would feel a lot more comfortable with guys like Xavier Legette late in drafts. I think he would be well more involved.
I would be really worried about Bryce Young because Thielen is his dude. I think Thielen does more for Bryce Young than he does for anything else in Carolina fantasy wise.
He's definitely the safety blanket, but I think Tedero McMillan's going to be able to take that. I think he's going to be the alpha, be the dog.
I think he'll be the alpha too, and we'll get to Carolina. But I think Thielen's good for just Bryce Young, kind of keeps him level.
Yeah, mentally, for sure. Yeah, he's the veteran presence that every receiver or every quarterback wants. So it makes sense. And
Carolina doesn't have that. Everybody else is a 1st or 2nd year player. All right,
they got a young room.
Let's dive in. Last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the NFC South. 10-7. Their win total this year is set at 9.5. So Vegas sees a step back here for the Buccaneers.
I don't really get that. I don't see that at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. I don't agree with that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
yeah. So it's a weaker division. So but like you don't see that. You don't see them projecting like the other teams in the division to be like going like Atlanta and Carolina. Their win totals are set 2-3 games below Tampa Bay's,
Mm-hmm.
and like you would think like okay they're projecting those other teams to go up, and they're not. So
No.
I am worried Tristan Wirfs is probably going to miss the first couple weeks, but from a fantasy standpoint, I'm all in on pretty much the
Every
majority of the
buck.
Tampa Bay
Yeah.
roster.
Yeah, for sure.
Baker,
Except like K. Dotton. I think he will get there, but I'm in on pretty much all of them,
yeah.
especially Baker.
Baker Mayfield, last year he finished as quarterback 4. He is going as the quarterback 7, middle of the 6th round, currently on Sleeper. I have him as my QB 6, so one spot ahead of his ADP currently. 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, completed 71.5% of his passes. He had a 7% touchdown ratio, and his interception percentage was under 3. And then he had 378 yards on the ground, another 3 touchdowns. Obviously, touchdown regression. The chances Baker Mayfield throws for 40 touchdowns again is unlikely. I don't know if he rushes for another 378 yards again either, but I am content. I'm comfortable too. Like where Baker's going in the 6, I'm okay going with him. Usually not my range where I'm targeting a quarterback, but I think where he's going is a good range for him. I'm not, like, oh, he's got to be pushed down draft boards a little bit more. I'm in on Baker here. I'm comfortable with him as the only quarterback on my roster as well. Like I said, I'm QB 6. So I think the Bucs are like the only thing that worries me is Tristan Wirfs, losing his best lineman. I'm not so concerned about the offensive coordinator change because Baker's just been dealing with that forever. And he's been competent in Tampa. Then he had this is his 3rd coordinator here. He was good under Canales. He was good under Liam Cohen. I expect him to be good under the Grissler.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And then I get the touchdown regression is on the table for Baker, but this offense is stacked. So him to hit 40 again is also in the cards. So it's not guaranteed to be regression like most guys. It's still a possibility because you got Mike Evans. You got Emeka Egbuka, who they drafted in the 1st round. You got Godwin coming back at some point because he's on the active roster. So he's not going to start the season, but he'll be back sooner than people thought. K. Dotton's a decent tight end option. And then Bucky and Rachaad White are both really good options out of the backfield receiving-wise. So Baker's going to cook because I think the Bucs are easily the best team in this division. And they're just going to be balling out most of the season.
Yeah, and then Jalen McMillan's also there. We'll see when he gets back. He's got a pretty bad sprained neck. So we'll see what kind of impact he has. But again, a good piece of this offense too. Like if Evans or Godwin, Egbuka missed time and McMillan's healthy, McMillan's good to plug. He had 8 touchdowns last year. It was really
we've seen
strong.
it last year. We've seen it last season. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they drafted Tej Johnson, Trey Palmer's there, but I don't see them being any sort of impact-bearing injury. But a deep receiving room here for Baker.
Yeah.
We'll just stay on the receivers. We'll do Bucky. I got the Bucky jersey on now. We'll do the running backs last. Mike Evans, he's going wide receiver 17, beginning of the 4th round. Finished as wide receiver 14 last year, so a little bit below where he was. 74 catches, barely over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, 9 yards per target, 13.5 yards per reception. So classic Mike Evans. I have him as wide receiver 16. So one spot above where he's going. So again, I'm content with Evans in the 4th. And if you're into the stacking, Evans Baker is an easy stack situation that you can make happen. And really, if I'm going to draft Mike Evans, I do want Baker Mayfield just because of the big play stuff. Like, if I draft Egbuka, I'm not overly targeting Baker, but I like stacking Baker with Big Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're going to get a bunch of touchdowns. That's where Mike Evans eats in fantasy. He gets close to double-digit touchdowns nearly every year. So if you're getting both of those touchdowns with Baker and Evans, I love that. I have him at receiver 15, so a little above ADP. I just think it's all on there for Mike Evans to have another great season. It just makes so much sense in this offense with Baker Mayfield as his quarterback, and they're both their playing styles. Baker's one of that big. Mike Evans is one of the receivers I like to target. If I go RB in the first 2 rounds, I'm really confident with Mike Evans being my receiver 1 or 2, just back on there because he's going to be consistent. You know what you're getting with Mike Evans every single year.
Do you worry the 1,000-yard streak ends or no?
No,
It's getting old.
I don't think so. It is, but with how high-powered this offense is, I just need him to be healthy. If he's healthy, he's going to get it. That's what it comes down to. If he doesn't get 1,000 yards, it's because he only played 11, 12 games. That's the reason why. He
missed some games last year, and they really forced it to him. It worked out. It was nice. Great for fantasy too, because Mike Evans was getting an insane target share there. Chris Godwin, he finished as wide receiver 53, but before he got hurt, he was
in what, 8
wide receiver
games?
2. Yeah, 8 games.
That's crazy.
He was wide receiver 2 when he got hurt. He's going at wide receiver 42, end of the 8th round. 50 catches on 62 targets, 576 yards, 5 touchdowns, 9 yards target, 11.5 yards per reception. His 17-game pace would have been 121 catches for 1,399 yards and 12 touchdowns, which would have only put him behind Jamar Chase. He would have had, in full PPR, he would have had 25 points more than Jefferson and Amon-Ra, who were 2 and 3.
Yeah. Yes, sir. He looked amazing last year, and obviously he shattered his ankle, so even when he comes back in October, he's not going to be 100% full speed, but he's going to be on the field and be helpful. I like him more now that I know he's on the active roster and he's guaranteed to come back within the first 4 games, because they would have just put him on the PUP if he's not coming back in the first 4 weeks.
Yep.
My mindset is he's going to be out completely the first 2 weeks, and he's going to be practicing. That's why they activated him, so he can do all the practice stuff with the team. I expect him back week 3, week 4. He should be full go.
Yeah, I agree, and I expect him to be on a pitch count early in his first 2 games back, and then I think it is a full go from there, which could muck up the room a little bit if you're in on Igbuka and Evans, but I think there's enough for this offense to go around for all of them to eat. I think this is one of the best offenses in football. I've Godwin at 46, so I'm a little bit lower than ADP, but that's because I'm higher on Igbuka. So, but Godwin at some point could become a value in drafts if he keeps falling, depending on league setup. But he's also a name I could see go in the range he's going, late 8th, maybe into the 7th, just because name value, Chris Godwin, and you just kind of hope he turns into the form he was last year as wide receiver 2 before the injury, and you get yourself a value if you're willing to take that shot. I personally am not, but
even if you get near that value for week 8 on, you'd be thrilled. But I wouldn't need him to be the receiver 2 to get that value. I think him just being a wide receiver 2 consistently through that stretch of games is what I'd be looking for. And with the way the team talks about Igbuka, I'm not worried about his role at all. It's going to be carved out regardless. I like all 3 of these receivers, and with how high powered this offense is, I think there's easily enough to go around for all 3.
Yeah, Igbuka, he's going as wide receiver 46, middle of the 9th round, so he's going around after Chris Godwin. I have him as wide receiver 31. He's one of my favorite values. I try to get him around before where he's going in, because if we're drafting with smart people, I want to be ahead of the curve, because I think Emeka Igbuka has top 24 potential right off the bat. Like, Baker Mayfield speaks so highly of him, like unprovoked. Like, he did an interview with the Kelseys, and they were just like, how's camp go? He's like, Emeka Igbuka's so good at football. Like, they didn't ask about Igbuka. He just brought that up on his own merit. Like, we loved him coming out of Ohio State, one of the cleanest route runners, most productive wide receiver in school history. And they've produced some good ones out there in Buckeye country. So the Bucks, I am bullish on Emeka Igbuka here for Tampa Bay, that I'm willing to take him in the 7th, 8th round if I have the opportunity.
Yeah, I would take him over Godwin. I got Godwin at 46 and Igbuka at 34. So I have him over Godwin. I just think he's going to be more involved early on, and then whenever Godwin comes back full speed, Ibuka's role is going to be carved out, and he's going to be eaten regardless. All 3 of these guys I'm in on. Godwin a little bit less than the other two, though, for sure.
Yeah, there's question marks around him, and that's why. So I agree completely. But Jalen McMillan, he's only viable if people are hurt and he's healthy. Like he's going as wide receiver 72, not being drafted. I have him at 89, and then Kate Otten stream option is to go in as tight end 28. That's where he's ranked right now. I have him at 26, but he's a fine stream option, especially if one of these guys gets hurt and Jalen McMillan's still out. That's when Kate Otten was really good last year, before McMillan came on and kind of figured out the offense. Kate Otten was a top 10 tight end virtually every week. So
here's my problem with that it was just Mike Evans at that point, receiving wise, because there was no Emeka Ibuka. And sure, Jalen McMillan was there, but I don't think Ibuka and Jalen McMillan are in the same class. I think Ibuka's way better. So I don't know how much Kate Otten can eat if only one of the receivers is hurt, because there's already two mouths to feed, and that's when he was really productive, when he was the second mouth. When he's the third mouth or he's the fourth mouth, I don't know how much volume you're going to be getting with Kate Otten this season.
Yeah, and it also all depends on when Godwin's back. Like, if Ibuka or Evans get hurt week 2 or 3, Kate Otten could be really valuable there, because they're still ramping up Chris Godwin. But yeah, Kate Otten is really just a stream option if there's an injury. If the Bucs are full health, I'll find a shot at a younger tight end if I'm streaming.
Yeah, there are better options that it could easily be on any given day the third option in the offense, the second option in the offense. That's not going to be Kate Otten in this offense. He's going to be a safe floor guy, but it's not going to be productive in any fantasy world.
Yeah. It's like a poor man's Pat Freiermuth. When Pat Freiermuth was the one tight end in Pittsburgh. Now he's got a mucked up room there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Crowded room out there, Pittsburgh.
All right,
4 tight ends deep.
The OG draft darling of the podcast, Bucky Irving. Last year he finishes RB13. He's going at RB9, mid to late second round. 1,122 yards, 8 touchdowns, average 5.4 a clip. Had 47 catches on 52 targets, 392 yards. I'm an RB11, so a little bit lower than consensus, but I think there's a 90% shot that we're drafting Bucky Irving at his ceiling, but I do think there's a world where Bucky Irving just becomes the guy, and he's a top 7 running back. It's just a matter of health. Obviously, he's smaller, so we saw it last year. He was getting banged up, but like I think he's capable of being a top 7, top 5 fantasy running back. But I think more than likely we are drafting him at his ceiling at RB9. But I mean, I'm not going to turn down Bucky Irving. I love him. I think he's going to be really good for Tampa. I'm a little bit higher on Rachaad White than where he's going, because I still think there's a world where he's involved in this offense. But maybe that's not the Josh Grizzard's thing. Maybe he wants more of a one-back focal point. We don't know. So, and if it is going to be a one-back focal point, it's going to be Bucky Irving. He's the more talented, more efficient runner out of these two guys. But like I said, I think 90% you're drafting him at his ceiling. But I do think there is a world where Bucky Irving could be a top 5 to 7 back. But I lean more towards the opposite.
Yeah, I kind of agree, just based off his size. I love Bucky. We're not going to say anything negative. We stuck with him throughout the whole draft process when everyone switched, but I have him at 12. I agree White's going to be more involved as well. Sean Tucker could also possibly be involved. This team fucking loves that guy, and they're constantly going in the back for Sean Tucker. So I don't think he's going to be relevant fantasy-wise, but I think he's going to be on the field more than anyone thinks he's going to be on the field. Just because of Bucky's size, they can't really beat this guy into the ground. We've seen it last year, to where he had that game where he had like 25, 30 total touches.
RB won that week.
Yeah, and then he walked out of the stadium wrapped like a mummy the whole week, and then the next week he literally only had like
3 touches. He
so
barely played.
Sure, he played. He didn't miss any games, but he's not relevant because he can't physically carry the workload. I do like Bucky a lot, though, just based off the offense and this kid's skill set. He's a really good running back at the end of the day. Easily the most talented running back in this room, and that's why he took over the room. He took it over quick last year, and he did not let it up. I would just rather, him be 215 pounds than 2 inches taller And man,
Yeah.
Bucky Irving would be amazing.
Yeah, he did bulk up a little bit, so we'll see how that holds up. But yeah, I like him. Look, if I can get him in the third, I'm way more comfortable with Bucky Irving than taking him in the mid to late second.
When we started this, he was going like RB6 or 7, and that was way too high.
He's starting to get pushed down a little bit.
So I'm glad he's fell down to 9, but that's still, I think, his ceiling this season. I think he's going to be like RB 10, 11 in the range.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have him 12, so I don't know how much upside you have on that just based off of how much he can possibly handle a workload.
Yeah. So like with Bucky, I'd be more comfortable with him as my RB2, even though I do think I have him at RB11, so I think he could be an RB1.
I agree.
But like I'm more comfortable with him as my RB2 than but like counterverse, like if I had James Cook, who's going after Bucky Irving, I'm more comfortable with James Cook as my RB1 than I would be Bucky Irving, if that makes sort of sense. But if I'm drafting Bucky where he's going, I'm drafting a run like if I get Bijan, say the second, and Bucky makes it to me, then I'm comfortable taking Bucky in the second, pairing it with Bijan, where like he's not my sole running back. And if I do take Bucky as my first running back, quote unquote, I want to pair him up with a James Cook, an Amarian Hampton, an Alvin Kamara, James Conner, someone who could be my RB1 if Bucky does get banged up, or you know, this is more of a timeshare than we expect. But I love him. I think he's going to be great for fantasy, but I do think we are drafting him almost at his ceiling for the most part.
Yeah, I totally agree. Where James Cook isn't being drafted at his ceiling; he's almost being drafted at his floor. So they're almost the opposite guys. Like James Cook, we seen last season, he was RB6. He's not being drafted anywhere near that. He's being drafted like RB13, 14. So to where Bucky Irving, he was RB13 last year in a really good year in a really good system. And now we're drafting him above where he finished last season. So I don't know what changed for James Cook, and I don't know what changed for Bucky Irving, because, man, they're both in the same exact spots they were last season, and not much has changed around them, to be honest.
I think what changed for Bucky is the fact that he is this is his backfield now. Before, I think everyone's
think everyone's going to be involved.
Yeah, I think everyone's projecting Rachaad White takes less of a role. So he had 144 carries last year, and he started the year as the starter. And he started the majority. Like, Bucky only had officially 3 starts. I think this year I think they see that. But I still think Rachaad White's involved a lot. We'll go right into him. He finishes RB22 in full PPR. He's going as RB46, end of the 13th round. I'm at 38, so a little bit higher than where he's going. 613 yards, 3 touchdowns, 51 catches, 393 yards, 6 touchdowns, 9 touchdowns the last 2 seasons for Rachaad White. So, like, you could say, looking at the numbers this year, like, oh, well, he'll have touchdown regression. He's not going to have 6 receiving touchdowns. Well, he had the same stat line the year before, but reverse. He had 6 rushing, 3 receiving, still 9 total touchdowns back-to-back years. I do think that goes down. Obviously, Bucky Irving will play a little bit more, but I still think from a pass catch standpoint, you're going to get some. I don't think you're going to get 57 targets. It's really like we obviously agree. We think Rachaad White's going to be more of the pass catching back for this offense, and I think that's why Bucky's kind of going higher. I think people think Bucky's going to take over both roles total.
I don't think that guy's body can handle that. I really don't. I don't think we'll see Bucky's body. If you add like 60 touches to Bucky's workload last year, I don't know, man. That's going to be a rough outing for that kid. That's a lot.
I want to keep him at 250, and he had 260 almost last year. He had 254. So that's right around where I want him. That's
where I want him. Yeah. So I want his workload to be exactly what it was last season. That's what I want.
Yeah. And but yeah, Rachaad White, I'm comfortable. 13th round, taking him. Yeah. Good stash back. You can plug him in a PPR flex situation if you're desperate. And if Bucky does get hurt, Rachaad White's going to be the team's starter. He'll get more carries, and then he'll be less efficient. I think him being the backup is better for him as a running. Like, he averaged 4.3 yards per carry last year. That was a career high. He never broke 4 the other years when he was the guy. So Bucky Irving being there is great for Rachaad White's efficiency. But yeah, excuse me, in the 13th round. He's a good, safe floor guy with catch upside.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know. He had around 50 some catches last year, whatever it was, I believe. I don't think that's going to be
51.
51. Yeah. So I think it's going to be a little bit less, but he's going to be as efficient as he was last year. I don't think it's going to dip lower than he was or go up higher because we know that's not going to happen. So I just think Rachaad White's going to be in the same ballpark. Where did you say you finished last year? RB 22? 23?
Yeah, RB 22.
22.
He's going
I think he's going to be like, I think he's going to be like high 30s, 31, 32. I think he's going to outshoot his ADP by a lot for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm at 38, and I honestly just think that's his floor. And
I agree. I have him at his floor at 36, I think, 35. Yeah, and I think that's his floor.
Yeah, and then Sean Tucker's there. You've brought him up, but he's really only viable if one of these guys get hurt, and even then, you're real touchdown dependent with him.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's going to be a better real football player than fantasy for this season. I think he's going to be out there a little bit, but it's not going to be any type of volume for fantasy. You can't rely on it.
Yeah. All right. The Atlanta Falcons. They finished 8-9 last year. Their win total set at 7.5. New quarterback, Michael Penix Jr. Kirk Cousins started the year last year. So Penix, small sample size. He finished his QB 48. He's going at QB 22, last round of drafts, undrafted. 775 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in those games. And then he had a rushing touchdown. His pace would have been 4,100 yards, 17 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, 5 rushing touchdowns, which isn't going to happen for him. He's not a mobile guy at all. So he could sling it. And we've brought up, I have him at QB 23, so one spot under where he's going. So yeah, but still, I think he's a good super flex quarterback, and we've brought it up. Like Atlanta, at least I feel that way, that their defense is going to be bad, and this is just going to be a team who's going to be passing and scoring a ton. Like this could be this year's Bengals, where they're a 500 team because they have a bad defense, but their offense is just lighting up, and then you want those pieces in fantasy. Like I'm really high on Drake London, Bijan Robinson. Yeah, Kyle Pitts is a tight end 1, and I hate that I have to say that. And if Darnell Mooney's healthy, Darnell Mooney's a good fantasy player. So Penix, we both love him. We loved him coming out of Washington. He can sling the rock with the best of them. He's got a cannon of an arm. He's lively. So from a fantasy standpoint, he's really limited because he doesn't run the ball. They had 11 yards rushing in those 3 games he started. So and that's what kind of knocks him down. He would need 40 touchdowns to be a fantasy, like, you lock him in your lineup kind of guy where you're happy with it. Whereas like he's probably a mid-20s to low 30s guy this year at least. But he's going to be great for spot starts. If they're against a team with a bad defense, Michael Penix would be great to kind of just plug in your lineup because, like we said, he could sling it. Like he could throw for 400 yards on any given day.
Yeah, for sure. Even if they're playing a team with a really good offense, then Penix is going to have to be out there trying to keep up with that great offense. So I don't necessarily love him, but I do like Bijan a lot this year, and I love Drake London. I'm not as high on Kyle Pitts as you are, so you're the Kyle Pitts guy this year, so I'm gladly passing that tag off to you. It's not me anymore, brother. I just don't know how good this team in general is going to be for Penix to be a fantasy option. But yeah, he's going to be a nice stream guy for sure. That's what it's going to come down to. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. It's not going to be quarterback 1, but he'll be a fine option here and there. Fine for Superflex. QB 2 range. Bijan Robinson, he's one of the best. He's RB3 last year. He's going as RB2 right now, 3rd pick of the 1st round. 1,456 yards, 14 touchdowns, almost 5 yards a carry, 61 catches, 431 yards, another touchdown. I have him as my RB1.
You say he's going RB2?
Came in here. Yeah, Barkley's going as
RB1.
RB1.
Going 1 still? That's crazy.
Yep.
Okay.
Zach Robinson came in here, took over this offense last year, and we saw the tide switch where it was a bell cow situation for Bijan Robinson. Tyler Algier had 130 carries, which is fine. But Bijan Robinson took over this workhorse load that, Arthur Smith wasn't giving him. It was more of a 50-50 split, whereas now Bijan over 300 touches last year. I would take him over Barkley. I would take him over any running back. I think he's the next stepping stone. I think if you were going to shy away from Jamar Chase for whatever reason, the 1-1, I think Bijan's the only other guy I would take.
Yep. No, we've been saying that for sure. I have him RB2, but that's behind McCaffrey. But I would take Bijan over McCaffrey. The amount of baggage and red flags that come with McCaffrey, Bijan doesn't come with any of that. And I think Bijan can finish RB1. So he's just a safer pick. I think McCaffrey's in a better situation because of what the Niners have going on, and the talent-wise, McCaffrey and Bijan are the same in my eyes. So, I don't know. What is there to say about Bijan? He's going to be a top 5 running back regardless. He's super safe. Obviously, you're drafting him at his ceiling because you're drafting him 2nd overall in the draft.
Yeah. And Tyler Algier, he's going last round of drafts as RB54. He finished as RB43. Yeah, I had him at 52. I think he's more. I would get him in Dynasty. He's a free agent at the end of the year, so I think he could be a starting running back in the NFL. I think he's good.
I think he's all right.
Behind Bijan Robinson, 1,000-yard runner. I would love him in Dallas. I keep saying that. Like, get Dallas a real running back. Tyler Algier in Dallas, he's a top 24 fantasy guy. But in Atlanta, behind Bijan, he's only viable if Bijan goes down. Otherwise, you're not going to play the roulette of will Tyler Algier score a touchdown. Like, yeah, sure, he had 644 yards last year, 3 touchdowns, doesn't catch the ball. Like, you're just gambling on him scoring. But, yeah, like I said, he's only viable if Bijan goes down. Then I would do a good fab dump on him if he was out there.
Oh, yeah, if Bijan goes down for sure. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but he's so young, it's not likely this season. Like, Bijan wouldn't be a guy I would be like, he might get hurt. Like, McCaffrey might get hurt. Barkley might get hurt. So those guys, Achane might get hurt. I wouldn't say that about Bijan.
Hurt.
Exactly, yeah. So I honestly would probably give Bijan the safest seal of approval out of any running back this season, if I had to pick one.
Yeah, but like I said,
and that's why he should be the first RB in our eyes, and that's because he's the safest. So,
like I said, Tyler Algier, I'm more interested in dynasty leagues. I don't think it's much
for sure
redraft value, but again, and also just a better real life football player than fantasy, while behind Bijan. But
for sure,
free agent next year, if you can go out and get him, and he lands with a team where he could start, Dallas. Or even if he goes to Miami and he plays a Raheem Mostert role, I think there's value for him outside Atlanta. But while he's there, he'll just be good for the actual team and only good for fantasy if there's an injury.
For sure. I look at him as like a good RB2 power back kind of situation, like a lesser David Montgomery, that kind of role.
Yeah. Chicago. That's who we should have brought up for Brian Robinson. David Montgomery made me think of that.
Dare you shit on DeAndre Swift?
Well, I'm just saying that's a situation. He could be the Montgomery there though for Ben Johnson. DeAndre Swift plays the Gibbs role.
Yeah, but I need that volume for Swift, brother. If I'm not getting volume on Swift, I am out.
I don't think we can rule out Chicago being in on Brian Robinson. All right, Drake London. Again, another guy we're in on. Wide receiver 5 last year in full PPR. He's going as wide receiver 10, middle of the second round. He had 100 catches, 1,271 yards, 9 touchdowns. I have him as my wide receiver 4. I think I've brought it up. I think Atlanta is going to be slinging the ball this year because they're going to be down because their defense isn't good. And Drake London is the only healthy, good receiver on this roster. Darnell Mooney's banged up. We don't know if he's going to be ready for week 1. Ray McLeod doesn't give you any fantasy relevance. And then it's Kyle Pitts, who is a roller coaster. Drake London, steady Eddie here. He could get the 180, 200 targets this year, depending on Darnell Mooney's health.
Yeah, if Mooney misses a lot of time, he becomes the Malik Neighbors, per se, of this offense, where he's just going to eat a ton of targets. And I have him over Neighbors. I have him at wide receiver 5. So I think it's going to be like that. I think Mooney's going to miss a little bit of time. But even if he doesn't miss a ton of time, Drake London's still the alpha. He's still the dog on this team. The passing game's going to flow through Drake London. So as long as London's out there, I'm starting him every single week. It's not even a question.
Yeah, he's going mid-second. I'd be comfortable taking him back end of the first without, I honestly would lean like Puka Nakua, who has the question mark of Matt Stafford and his back injury and whatever.
I have Drake London
would
almost 5 spots over him.
Yeah. Well,
I have Puka at 9.
Consensus wise, Puka is going back into the first. He's like wide receiver 5
I get that. But I think that's going to start to change just off Stafford. Like, I get Stafford should be out there week 1, but if he's not, dude,
it's probably too late though to affect his ADP too much because we're so close to draft season though.
Actual ADP, no, but I'm saying like in the next 2 weeks, Puka's going to be in second rounds. He's going to be a second round pick.
But like, I'd even take him over Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr., who are going in that range. And you guys know
I would take
love
him over
BTJ.
Nico Collins, AJ Brown. 100%. Yep.
Like, I hold him in the same tier as Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, it's Jefferson, Lamb, Chase. They're tier 1. And then I would say tier 2 is Drake London and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I would still have them separate. I would say Amon-Ra's in the tier of his own at the second tier. I still think Amon-Ra is almost an elite receiver. Drake London's only done it the 1 year. I've seen multiple years out of Amon-Ra. I just need a little bit more out of Drake London. But Drake London has a chance to be there for sure. He could easily be in that tier of Amon-Ra.
Yeah, I think mid-second is a steal for him when, top 5 last year, he's going at 10. I think you're getting a really good value for him. Darnell Mooney, wide receiver 31 last year. I am at 53, or he's going at 53, sorry. 11th round. I have him at 64, so I'm just worried about the injury, him not being out there, getting this rapport with Penix. He had 992 yards last year and 5 touchdowns. Like, he's productive. When he's out there with a decent quarterback, Darnell Mooney is really good at football. Yeah. But who knows what's going on with the shoulder thing. So, like, I'm more worried about it than I think a lot of people are. Like, I still think he's worth where he's going in the 11th round. I'm fine with that 'cause it's a free pick. And if he's fine, you're getting a guy close to 1,000 yards. But I worry with how much of a rapport Penix seems to have already with Drake London and what he's trying to build with Kyle Pitts, that Darnell Mooney kind of becomes the odd man out here and becomes the 3rd or even 4th option in the passing game with Bijan here. So that's what worries me, that Michael Penix is kind of, we don't hear anything with Penix and Mooney because Mooney's not out there. So I am concerned about the shoulder injury for him.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned, but I still got him at wide receiver 51. So like, I still think it's in the realm of possibilities for him to come back and just really just start instantly connecting just based off both of these guys' talents, being Penix and Mooney. They're both really good, really smart football players. So I just need him to be out there. I'm not really worried if he misses a ton of time. I'm obviously worried, but once he gets back is when I'm not worried. Whenever he's on the field, he's going to be flexed because they're going to be targeting him. It's literally Drake London, and Kyle Pitts is there, but I don't know how reliable that guy is.
Darnell Mooney off the field.
No. Good God, no, dude. No way. Yeah. Once Mooney's healthy, he's going to be out there.
Yeah. Pre-shoulder injury, I did have Darnell Mooney at wide receiver 48. So I was ahead of ADP for him.
Pre-shoulder injury, I was well above that. I had him in the 30s. I was all in on Mooney because I like this offense a lot. So on Mooney last year, proving that I think he could easily be 1,000-yard guy if he's fully healthy in this offense.
Yeah. All right. Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, dude, you're the guy. Lead the charge.
Last year, tight end 14.
Hey, that's where I got him. Right where he should be, brother.
He's going as tight end 15. And mid to late 10th round. 74 targets, 47 catches, 602 yards, 4 touchdowns. I have him at 12, so it's not like I'm in this boat that he's like a top 5 tight end.
Love him.
But I do have him as a tight end 1. I like how Michael Penix has been focusing on Kyle Pitts. I like where he's going. He's free pretty much.
That he might be your fantasy darling when we get to that episode. It might be Kyle Pitts on the tight end position, baby.
It will not be Kyle Pitts. He would have been second. But I'll do the fantasy darling here for Kyle Pitts. I like that Michael Penix is pushing the Kyle Pitts agenda. Kirk Cousins never really did that. And Atlanta's never really, like, Michael Penix is out here and he's doing the Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford thing. They're golfing together. They're developing a legitimate rapport. And my more Kyle Pitts being in on is the fact that Darnell Mooney is hurt. So there needs to be another option in this passing game, and it's not Ray McCloud. Ray McCloud will get his 70 targets and his 6 catches a game, but he'll have a Wan'Dale Robinson 30 yards, and he's not going to score. And with the tight end position, I'm shooting for upside, and where Kyle Pitts is going in the 10th round, there's big boom potential for him. And it's really Penix. Penix is the driving force for me being in on Kyle Pitts, is the fact that he keeps bringing up Kyle Pitts. So I'm shooting for the upside. Tight end 12, so I'm 3 spots above where he's going. 10th round, you're shooting with tight ends anyways. If you don't have one of the elite guys, Kyle Pitts is worth just the free pick. And if he hits, great, you got a superstar. If he doesn't, you'll find a guy to stream. The tight end is the easiest position to find a viable streaming position that's not quarterback. So it really doesn't hurt you drafting Kyle Pitts. So I have tight end 12. I'm in where he's going. Like he's not going in the 6th round anymore, the 3rd round, where people were pushing that agenda where I was just like, cool down. I'm not there. And I never was. Here, 10th round, I'm willing to take the big shot on a tight end. And I think the agenda Michael Penix is pushing and the buddying up with Kyle Pitts, I think is going to go a long way, because we've never really heard of Kyle Pitts having that sort of rapport with his quarterback. So I am intrigued, to say the least.
If you just take Kyle Pitts' name off the equation and be like, hey man, I got you a top 10 drafted tight end who's 24 years old in an offense where he could be the 2nd target and he's super athletic. Oh, and by the way, you're drafting him in the 10th round of fantasy football. Those are just all green flags in my eyes. And
exactly.
This is the range where Kyle Pitts, I'm fine taking him. A couple years ago when you're drafting him as your tight end and you had to stick with him because you spent a 5th round pick, a 6th round pick on Kyle Pitts. You can't just cut him. If Kyle Pitts goes out there and by week 2 he's shit, I can cut him. I picked him in the 10th, 11th round. It's fine. It's no big deal. But like you said, dude, he's a super athlete who was drafted to be a mainstay in any offense. So you have to play the cards for Kyle Pitts in his favor of, he's young. He's in an offense that really didn't care about him. And now he is. He's in an offense that's seeming the quarterback is focusing on him and Drake London. So they just got to scheme this guy. You got to use him right. You have to know how to use him. And he's not your normal tight end. You can't have him running these Mark Andrews routes, these Travis Kelce kind of routes. You need to get him stretching the field, open the field, and actually give him good catches, like things that are catchable. You can't just keep running them on post routes and hoping for the best. Give him good routes. Let him cook. Let him work. Hey, man, I've always been on Kyle Pitts since he was drafted from Florida, so I got him a little bit lower than you. But, yeah, I'm in on Kyle Pitts at his ADP.
Yeah. Tight end also take recency bias out with, Bowers and Laporta. Has historically been a position that it takes a while for the young tight ends to develop. Look at David Njoku. Yeah. He's been in the league almost 10 years, and he's only now become really relevant the last 2 or 3 years. Whereas, I think Kyle Pitts had the big 1,000-yard season his rookie year, and he was like, oh, this is the guy. And then it hasn't hit, and you've almost reached the fantasy fatigue with him. He's only been in the league for 4 years, and it shows by his ADP. Where now, I just think he's a value. Yeah, and it could come back and burn you, and Kyle Pitts could just not be the guy.
But it doesn't matter at his ADP. It's fine.
It's a free
this year.
It's a free pick this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
This year you can't get burned by Kyle Pitts. He's not going to burn you because of his ADP.
Unless you're a moron and take him in the 7th round. Then that's on you. You burned yourself.
Yeah. If you're drafting Kyle Pitts at where you think he could finish, my God, I'd be drafting Kyle Pitts in the 3rd round. But that's just not worth it because you got to play your board. You got to follow ADPs. You got to know who's in your league. But don't overdraft Kyle Pitts. Take him at the fall. Take him at his floor. And just hope for the best, man.
Yeah. I've been shitting on Ray McCloud. Good football player. I assume you're not in on Ray McCloud.
Oh, man, I don't even know where I have Mr. Ray ranked. Pretty low, to be honest. I have him 77. Pretty low.
Yeah, that's about where I have him. He's fine for like full PPR. You'll
Like
get
real
some little
deep
juice there, but
14, 16 leagues, yeah, you're going to have him on
yeah,
your bench. But normal leagues, you're not going to be looking at Ray Ray. But
yeah,
now, if Mooney's
yeah.
out, if like it's confirmed Mooney's out for like 4 to
He,
6 weeks, Ray
I
Ray
would
becomes a
monitor him.
flexible kind of guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
especially if
Just,
Kyle Pitts doesn't do anything.
yeah.
Ray McLeod is going to be a safety blanket, and he'll be fine
Yeah,
there.
he becomes
But
instantly like Wandale Robinson. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be fun, but he's going to get 6 to 8 catches every game because he just needs targets. That's what it's going to be.
yep. All right. Before we jump over to the Carolina Panthers, let's shout out our affiliates over at W Energy and Finley Hats. Finley Hats, their hats built for good times and long times. They have a lifetime warranty, so if your hat is damaged or destroyed, they will replace it or repair it absolutely free. Ton of cool designs. They do weekly drops. They got snapbacks. They got dad hats. They got shirts, sweatshirts, shorts, all kind of stuff. They got the cool little pockets inside the hat. They got the Stampede laces, so you could keep your hat nice and snug to your head. If that's your thing, you could interchange them as well. The free shipping through the U.S. as well. So if you're international, sorry, you got to pay for shipping. But if you live here, shipping's free, and you can check them out over at Finley Hats. Join the Finley Force. In the description, there will be a link. You can click it and get a cool 15% off your first purchase. So join the Finley Force. And then W Energy, the OG affiliate of the Drafted Up podcast. It is good, clean energy. No artificial dyes, no sweeteners, none of that stuff. No crash. It's jitterless energy. You mix it with some water, or in my case, I've been mixing it with some lemonade, like I've been saying, and you get a delicious blend. Like, you don't got that weird chalky taste whatsoever. There's no carbonation, so no bubbles if that's not your thing. It's sort of got the texture of like a Gatorade, so it's a little bit thicker than like water, but the flavors are strong. They got a ton of flavors. They have shakers. They also have merch as well. So check out our friends over at W Energy. They have an app. Search in your app store. It'll be there, or you can go to their site, w.gg, and use the code DRAFTEDUP for a nice 10% off any purchase. No matter how many times you use it, it will be good. Even when the podcast is dead and gone, you can use the code DRAFTEDUP and still get some W Energy. So be better with W Energy. Eat that dub.
Not bad. Not bad. We love the ads. We love the ads. Eat that dough.
Do we? Do we love the ads?
The two of them, yeah. If we never get a third one, I'm out. Yeah. I'm out on a third ad. I'm gone.
Okay, here we go. If we ever get other sponsors, they will be split up among episodes. Like ideally, we'd have 4, 2 for the Tuesday, 2 for the Thursday. That's it. But yeah, you will not get 3 ad reads out of me. No sirree. All right, Carolina, the Panthers last year 5-12. Their win total set at 6.5 this year. Bryce Young, do you know where he finished in fantasy last year, Nick?
Well, he got benched to start the season because he looked terrible, but then he came back and he looked like an actual quarterback. 16th, 17th.
That's rich. 20.
Oh, that's not that. It's 4 spots off, 3 spots off.
Well,
that's
ballpark.
I
would have. I wouldn't have guessed that high. I would have gone lower. I would have been like,
you got to remember that.
I would have been like QB 25.
I had to play him in a championship because I had Jalen Hurts in so many leagues. I went into a championship with Bryce Young in one league and Drake May in the other, and I lost both, by the way.
Yeah, QB 20 last year. I am he's going as QB 23 last round, undrafted. I am at 25, so a little bit lower, but I think he's a fine stream option. 2,400 yards, 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Almost 61% of his passes completed, 6 rushing touchdowns, 250 yards almost on the ground. His pace on the games after he got benched would have been 3,500 yards, 26 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 9 rushing touchdowns, and 379 yards. It is crazy how night and day Bryce Young looked to start the year. He came back in after getting benched. Like, it clicked. Like, he was playing loose. Like, he looked like the Alabama first overall quarterback compared to, looking like the worst quarterback ever taken prior.
Yeah, no, he needed to get benched, and he came out and said that like he wasn't ready for the opportunity, and it clicked in his head when he got benched that this could all just be taken away. So why go out there and play this safe kind of football to when I get my opportunity back, I'm not going to give it back up because I'm going to be giving it my all every single play. And it honestly clicked like that. It showed. Bryce Young looked like a real quarterback in the back end of the season because he was playing free. He was playing loose. He wasn't overthinking every single thing he did on the football field. So I like Bryce Young a lot this year. I don't know how much fantasy value he gives you. It's going to be a stream option, kind of like Penix, the guys we've been talking about, except Baker. But I like the kid a lot this year, for sure. I like him in like a real life football perspective. I like Bryce Young a lot this year.
Yep.
Fantasy, I don't know how much he's going to give you.
Yeah, I think at best, super flex 2 QBs streaming
option. Yeah, for sure. How he was in the back end of the season last year, though. That's how he was.
Yep. Canales had a part with Geno Smith. He was with him in Seattle. He was with Baker in Tampa. Now he was brought here to fix Bryce Young, and last year it looked like that finally started to click. So I think if you're a Panthers fan, I think you can look forward to this year. I think this year is going to be an interesting year for the Panthers and the development of Bryce Young as well. Chuba Hubbard finished as RB14 last year. He's going as the RB18 end of the 4th round, 1,195 yards, 10 touchdowns, 43 catches, 171 yards, and another touchdown. I have him as RB18, so I'm on par with where he's going. I think the dip there, like, sure, he finished 14 last year, he's going lower, is the fact they did add Rico Dowdle, who was a RB2 last year. He finished as RB23. He's not being drafted. He's going as RB57, but he, 1,000 yards, 2 touchdowns, 39 catches, 249 yards, and another 3 touchdowns. I have him at RB51, a little bit higher than where he's going, but I think Rico Dowdle is a good stash option just because if Chuba does go down, I think Rico Dowdle then falls into the role that Chuba has, which is a top 20 fantasy running back. But Chuba Hubbard, where he's going, 4th round, cool with it. I think he's I same boat as like Bucky. It's like I'd rather him be my RB1 or RB2. Than I would my RB1. So he's a guy that like I hope he catches more. Like he had 43 catches, but I don't know if that happens this year. So that's also why I kind of have him taking a dip there. Let me quick talk about his
catches real quick. He had all those catches last year, but they were negative impacted on the team. Every time he caught the ball, it hurt the Carolina Panthers. And that's
true. I didn't even put together his yards per catch.
It was horrendous. It was so bad. And that's my worry this season.
I have it written down.
Is that Rico is going to be involved way more than anyone's giving this kid credit. This preseason, it's been a 60-40 split between the two of them. And I think it's going to be pretty close to that all season. And I think Rico's going to be the pass catching option. Rico's a really good receiving back. He's a really good running back in general. I think Rico should be drafted in drafts just based off of what happens in week 1. After week 1, we can retalk the situation, but there's a chance he's out there for 40% of the snaps for the Panthers, and he's the 3rd down back, which it's most likely going to be honest. I think Rico's going to be way more involved than anyone's talking about.
I love Rico Dowdle, so you won't hear complaints from me. But 4 yards per catch there for Chuba Hubbard.
It was bad. It was like historically bad.
3 yards per target. Years before, like 6 the year prior, 12.2 the year prior, 7. He's always kind of been in that range. The 12 is an outlier, but 4 is, not ideal. And I see that because Rico had 4 less catches and he had 70 more yards almost on the ground. Through the air, receiving. So Chuba Hubbard, he's a good floor running back.
I still like him. I like Chuba a lot. Yeah, for sure. I think he's a really good RB2 this year, and that's what he should be.
But I agree. Temper the expectations in terms of like last year he was the bell cow back. Like none of the other backs
in Carolina
were taking touches, and they also drafted my dude Trevor Etienne. So we'll see if he has any sort of involvement there.
Did you see that guy's first NFL touch?
No, I did not.
It was a fumbled kickoff, by the way.
Of course it was. Because he had
Mr.
to fumble in college too. Yeah.
Yep. It's continuing to the pros, brother.
You hate to see it.
You really do, for sure.
But we're not we're not talking about Trevor Etienne. He's not even worth drafting. Even if an injury, it's still Rico Dowdle
No.
there.
Yep.
But I agree with you. I think Rico Dowdle is good last round, just in case, and maybe this is more of a split than we expect.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Canales was there in Seattle with Pete Carroll, and they had Ken Walker and Zach Charbonnet. I think he fell into that range. I think that was Pete Carroll's last year, so it would have lined up. And then in Tampa
Cannot
as well.
confirm nor deny.
Yeah,
but
Tampa,
yeah, it's
Tampa. He was just stuck with Rashad White. I'm sure he would have loved a viable
loved another running back. Yeah,
with him
for sure.
Yeah. But and I think that's why we've seen they drafted Jonathan Brooks. We know Carolina's told us they want to run two backs,
two running backs. Yep, constantly.
But
yep.
Whatever happened, injuries, whatever, has just kept it to being just one back. Rico Dowdle is the prototypical backup here for Chuba Hubbard, and like I said, this could be more of a split than people think. That you got. I don't know if Chuba Hubbard has 10 touchdowns in the bag this year, because I think Rico Dowdle could have 5.
I agree, 100%.
Okay, let's try to make this. Let's figure out this receiving room. Tetero McMillan.
Alpha. There we go. Figured out.
He's going as wide receiver 28, end of the 5th round. I have him at 29, so one spot lower, but I get it. Taking the shot on him. He's looked good with Bryce Young and the little bit of action they've seen together in preseason. They had that sideline shot. And Bryce threw it perfectly to him, and Tet brought it in real nicely. So I'm cool with where he's going, even though I'm one spot lower at 29, but taking the shot on a guy who could be the alpha on an offense who could take a step up this year, passing-wise, because Bryce Young is a little bit more comfortable. So if Bryce Young develops, you got to figure Tetero McMillan. He's got top 15 upside.
I don't know if it's going to be this season where he's a top 15, but for sure in the future. But
if they move Adam Thielen, do you still feel that way?
I think he's capped in this offense a little bit. I have him at wide receiver 30, so it's in that ballpark of his ADP. Mm-hmm. I think that's around about his ceiling. No, I don't think it's going to be much higher than mid-20s for them this season. Obviously, next season we'll retalk it because it's completely different, but I don't love the Panthers' passing game a whole bunch because of how many mouths there are to feed. There's a lot of guys, and I get if Thielen moves out, that opens up a bunch of targets, but I don't know. I will retalk after Thielen, but right now I think he's going just a tad bit early.
Okay. It's weird because you were Tetero was your guy in the draft process, and I was more. He's a high-end number 2 guy, and I'm here.
I like Bryce Young. Can I trust Bryce Young to feed a receiver? I don't know. He hasn't had to do it besides Adam Thielen.
Yeah, that's fair.
Him and Thielen are completely different receivers. So I don't know if this kind of receiver works for him.
Gotcha. I figured you would have been in thinking Tetero McMillan is an alpha that he makes Bryce Young better, and he makes it that Bryce Young can hold a wide receiver, a top fantasy wide receiver. But we'll see. I like where he's going. I like taking the shot on the upside. I think it's there, especially if they do move Thielen, because then I think we're looking at a guy who could get double-digit touchdowns and 130 targets from Bryce Young as the only consistent target guy, because Xavier will get his, but his will be manufactured stuff. Adam Thielen is the second receiver being drafted currently on the team. He's finished as wide receiver 52 last year. He did miss some time. He's going at wide receiver 62, 15th round. I am at 48. I love Adam Thielen, and I think if he's in Carolina, it does temper down Tetero McMillan a little bit. Had he played the full year, his pace would have been 82 catches on 106 targets, 1,046 yards, and 9 touchdowns. So Thielen still's got some juice, and he's Bryce Young's safety valve, and I still think he'll be relevant if he's still in Carolina. And I like him as just a last round kind of guy. If you just need a good floor wide receiver, I think Thielen, if he's there, will be heavily involved. I would rather take him over Leggett and Coker. But
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I got McMillan at 30, like I brought up, and then I got Thielen at 57 and Leggett at 62. So they're closest, but I would rather Thielen for sure. I trust him way more in that offense.
Mm-hmm.
If Thielen does get traded, though, I think Leggett should be talked about a little bit more for sure.
Yeah, I'm even content taking Leggett too at the end of the draft. Like he's got the
Just like a flyer.
first round pick. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. He takes the second year leap. He had 49 catches, 497 yards, 4 touchdowns, 84 targets. He finished as wide receiver 60. He's going as wide receiver 66. So I have him at 60, but I think he's worth another late, just see what Canales has planned for him. Maybe they do some Debo stuff with him, use him in the backfield, like scheme him in more being a second year player, especially if Thielen's gone. Even with Thielen there, like I'd still be fine taking my shot on him just on draft capital and upside. Like we loved his college tape. Sure, he wasn't productive in college. He only had 1 year of real productivity, but that 1 year looked great. And Carolina clearly saw it. They took the shot on him at the end of the first round. So I'd be fine taking the dart, throwing him at the end of the draft. Just it's a free pick, like with Kyle Pitts we brought up. If he week 1 doesn't hit, you can move on. It's not costing you anything. So I think he's got the kind of upside to take the shot on with your final pick.
And the way he plays football, he's going to have like spike seasons because he's a 50-50 ball catcher. So some seasons he's going to be coming down with way more of those 50-50 balls.
Yeah.
And some of them are going to be in the red zone and they're going to be touchdown catches. So there are seasons he could easily have 6, 7, maybe even 8 touchdowns just because of the way he plays. And if you happen to get him on a spike year, it's going to be great value for sure.
Yeah. Jalen Coker is the other guy in the room. He's going at 85. I have him at 80. Finished at 82 last year. I think Coker's really only got relevance if they move Thielen because then he just slides into the slot role. But he would be a stream option at best unless Leggett completely bombs, and then he's the clear number 2 here in Carolina. He's just a name to monitor. He's more dynasty relevant than he is redraft. Like I'm not going to draft Jalen Coker. I love Jalen Coker. I think he's a real good, clean route runner, and I think there's a role for him, especially if they do move Thielen. I think he becomes the slot guy, and then you monitor him, see how involved he is early on in the year.
Yeah, right now I'm out on that guy. I have him at 89, so not really much value. But like you said, if Thielen gets dipped, he becomes a slot guy, so he would definitely jump up a bunch of. He would definitely jump above guys like Devon Vele, Deontay Johnson, Hopkins, Trey Harris, stuff like that.
Yeah. And then Jatavian Sanders, he's a name you've brought up recently a couple times. You're higher on him than I am. I have him at 32. He's going at 30. Last season he was 35. And you liked him more as a prospect too coming out. I'd send it over him. But I think there will be weeks he's streaming, but I'm not overly keeping an eye on him, watching him, but I could be proven wrong. But if Thielen's there, I think at best he's the 5th option in the passing game. I still think Jalen Coker will be more involved than he would be, but he's a monitor situation. I hold him in the same boat as Coker. I'll watch, keep an eye on it, especially if they do move Thielen. Then I'll monitor, see how active Sanders and Coker are. Sans Thielen, but I'd rather take my shot on some of the other younger tight ends than Sanders.
There was a stretch of weeks where he finished tight end 14, tight end 12, tight end 9, tight end 15, and then he got a little bit banged up, tight end 18. So I think I have him at tight end 26 or 25 in that ballpark. He fits those boxes of he's a young, athletic, explosive, talented tight end. So I'm in on Sanders per se. I think he's in the box with Chigakonko, TJ Johnson, or Theo Johnson, guys like that could be productive just based off their athleticism and the opportunity if it's presented.
Would
He's
you
just a name to monitor for sure.
Yeah. Would you take him over Mason Taylor?
No, I have Mason Taylor 1 spot above him. Okay. Same ballpark, though.
All right. Final team. This one will be a joy to talk about.
Oh, God. Do we even have to talk about this team? Right now,
New Orleans Saints.
Over under 3.5 wins for the Saints all year.
Well, their line's set at 5.5.
Oh yeah, it's because Vegas can't do a team that dirty.
Yeah.
There's no world where Vegas is giving a team the over under a 3.5. I'm giving the Saints the over under a 3.5 though, brother. They're going to be the worst team in football this year. That's my take.
I think at the end of the year, the top 3 teams in the draft are going to be New Orleans, Cleveland, Indianapolis, and some more.
You don't have the Giants in that ballpark just based off the schedule?
No, because I think Brian Daboll's a good coach, and I think
our defense is good.
Yep, and I think you guys win 4 or 5 games, and you kind of just draft 4, where you've just kind of been living in that fourth range.
Yeah.
But that'll be good for you guys because all 3 of those teams are going to be fighting for quarterbacks, and that leaves the top offensive tackle probably falling to you guys at 4. When that'd be great for Jackson Dart and your crew. But the Saints 5-12 last year. Somehow their win total is set over that at 5.5. I'd be smashing. I'd be smashing the under. Can't give betting advice though, so don't listen to me. We brought it up at the beginning of the show. This team has not announced their starting quarterback. So Tyler Shuck, rookie quarterback. We love him here on the podcast. He's drafted as quarterback 35, not being drafted. I have him at 33. I think he does play the majority of the year. Spencer Rattler finished as QB 42 last year. I dug, and Sleeper just doesn't remove people from their draft cycle. Spencer Rattler's being drafted at like QB 200, but that's obviously not where he's going. But I have him at 35. He had 1,300 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 148 yards on the ground. That spanned out to 3,198 yards, 10 touchdowns, 12 picks, and 350 yards on the ground. You like the running work from him, but we'll see. I think Rattler does start the year. If I had to, put my chips on a guy to be the quarterback week 1, I think it'll be Spencer Rattler. And I don't know how long he makes it. We'll see. If he plays well, obviously he's going to be in longer. But I do think Tyler Shuck plays over 50% of the year for the Saints. I just think he's a more talented quarterback, but he's a rookie. He's got to figure it out. He's had his struggles here in camp, but he's got the traits. Obviously, we loved him in the draft process. We love the tools he brought to the table, other than his age and his injury report. But I just think he's a better talent than Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a better quarterback prospect for sure. Their bye week's week 11. I don't know if they let that. I don't know if they let Rattler go that long. They usually give the starter until the bye week, and then they pull him just for extra time for the backup to get more time in. I don't think he makes it to week 11. That's too far for Rattler to just let it rock. I don't think he's safe enough to be a starting quarterback. He's going to make dumb decisions. I think Shuck can go in there and manage the games and not get blown out. It's not going to be pretty, though, regardless. I'm not in on almost anyone. I like Kamara. I think he's fine. We might as well jump to the running backs at that point. There's no quarterback that you're going to be starting in fantasy football this year from the Saints.
No, unless Tyler Shuck or Rattler completely blows you away, and at that point you could just snag him on free agency. But yeah. Alvin Kamara, last year RB9, he's going at RB 15, early 4th round, 950 yards, 6 touchdowns, 68 grabs, 543 yards, another 2 touchdowns. I have him at 16. So I'm a little bit lower than ADP, and this happens every year. Alvin Kamara's ADP is always in this kind of range, and we're kind of getting to that, he's getting old, so we're trying to predict the falling off the cliff. I think it's a little easier with him than it would be like Derrick Henry, who's just built differently, because Alvin Kamara is not built to handle this kind of load, and it shows he hasn't had 1,000 yards ever.
Yeah, never, yeah. This season, I think he's safe. I think he's the safest option in this offense because of Chris Olave's injury history.
Yep.
But
everyone's injury history on this offense.
I think it's going to be very close to last season for him. It's just going to be a little bit worse because the team is going to be absolutely horrendous. So it's going to be a lot more 3-and-outs, a lot more shorter drives. They're going to be getting blown out, so I don't think he's going to have as many rushing attempts. But that's okay with a guy like him because then if it's a PPR league, he's going to eat in the catches. He's going to be Rattler's or Tyler Shuck's best friend out there just because of how consistent he's been throughout his career. He's going to be a great check down option for either of these young quarterbacks. I really like Kamara at his ADP. I would rather him like a couple picks later. It's a little bit early, but I'm cool pulling the trigger on him. He's fine there.
Yeah, there's not a ton of touchdown upside, but he kind of makes up with that the fact that he could haul in 80 passes here. And
yeah,
there's no other running back on the roster who's going to really. Devin Neal's going at RB 73. Kendre Miller is going as RB 75. I have Miller at 61, Neal at 71, but none of them are going to fight Kamara off the field or really eat too much into his workload.
I got him at 67 for Kendre Miller and 72 for Neal, but they're not going to be any bit relevance, especially Miller, to be honest. Yeah. I honestly think if Kamara gets hurt, I think Neal becomes more relevant than Miller, to be honest.
Hey, Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's also in this room. It wouldn't surprise me if he makes this team. They have a ton of other running backs. Velus Jones Jr., converted receiver. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's a crowded room behind Kamara. It's just a crowded room of nobody really relevant.
For sure.
All right. Chris Olave.
Oh, God. The Joker. The wild card.
Last year finished as wide receiver 93. He's going as wide receiver 34 in the beginning of the 7th round. 32 catches on 44 targets, 400 yards, 1 touchdown. That would have put him on a 68 catch, 850 yard, 2 touchdown, 17 game pace on 94 targets. That's
Which
not
ain't
great.
Good. Which ain't good, brother.
Derek Carr just did not like Chris Olave. It did not gel. It wasn't working. So will it work with Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck? We don't know. Chris Olave, really talented receiver, can't stay healthy. I have him at 36, so I'm a little bit lower on the ADP, and that's just more because like I just don't think the Saints are going to be good and aren't going to be able to pass the ball at a consistent level. But if there's a guy who's going to make this work and beat his ADP, it's going to be Chris Olave. I still think he's super talented. I think he's a really good football player. I just worry about his health and just the situation here for me to want to take him. So I'm kind of just out on him. I'd rather take a tight end in this range or, take a shot on one of the later round running backs here than try to get the potential number 1 passing option in a really, really bad offense.
Yeah, for sure. So he's played 39 games. How many of them has he finished as a wide receiver 1?
I would say at most like 3, but I would probably say 0.
It's 6. 6 out of the 39 he's finished as a top 12 receiver in a week. That's not good odds.
No.
And then you add in Shuck and Spencer Rattler as his quarterbacks in an offense that's going to be really bad. On top of his injury history, I'm kind of just letting everyone else draft Chris Olave this year. I'm not willing to take that stick of dynamite this year.
If there was touchdown upside, sure, I'd be willing to take my shot on Chris Olave, but he doesn't score. It's not his thing. He's more of a...
Exactly, yeah.
Like, I would love to see him with a really good quarterback. I think he'd be really good.
I would absolutely love that. I'm more in the range,
though, that he's going to be like the new Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore, probably, and just kind of hover around the 20 to 26 range for his career. I don't think him being a wide receiver 1 is really in the realm of outcomes anymore, which is unfortunate. But
I agree, but I don't think at all this year he's going to be any bit consistent enough to be able I'm starting Chris Olave this week without even thinking about it. I'm locking him in. I know that for a fact. I don't think it's going to be that way much this season. So I think next year we have talk about Chris Olave. This year, though, we've said you play fantasy to win. He doesn't give me the upside of like McCaffrey and guys like that, where I'm willing to take that stick of dynamite, even if it's a lit. I'll grab it out of your hands. Olave, I'll let you have that bag, dog. Someone else take Olave this year.
I would be way more comfortable with Chris Olave if he was going where like the Colts receivers are going. Downs and Pittman.
Oh, yeah, no. I would be, yeah.
Because that's sort of the situation he's in, but he's got name value compared to Downs and Pittman, so he's pushed up a little bit. But I would say he's in a worse offense.
Yeah. Like, I would much rather hit Danny Jones be his quarterback than any of the guys he has.
Yeah, currently, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
I think their ceiling there was Shuck to be better, but right now,
possibly,
no.
Yeah.
But I'd be much more comfortable taking Chris Olave where Pittman and Downs are going, like the 9th, 10th round. Then I'd be more inclined to take him.
I would be really in on him at that point because of the upside he gives you at that point. But where you're drafting him, there is no real upside in this offense.
Yeah. Rashid Shaheed, he's being drafted as a second receiver in this offense. He was wide receiver 94 last year, so one spot below Chris Olave. Would you believe that Marquez Valdes-Scantling was the highest ranked fantasy receiver for the Saints last year?
Yeah, he went on a couple game stretch where he was like actually good.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like a real football player, and I'm like, whoa, is this the same MVS? Who's this guy out here?
Yeah. But yeah, Shaheed 94 last year. He's going as wide receiver 54 currently. I have him as wide receiver 59, so same ballpark. He also always hurt. 20 catches last year, 349 yards, 3 touchdowns. His pace, that was on 41 targets. His pace would have been 57 catches on 116 targets for 989 yards, 9 touchdowns. If there's going to be a receiver who scores touchdowns in this offense, it's going to be Rashid Shaheed. And I can get him for free because he's going at the last round of the draft in that 12 to 15 range. So I'm cool taking the shot on him because we've seen he can, take a 70-yard bomb to the house. And that's, I think, with Rattler and Shuck, I think that's a little more valuable because those guys are just going to try to sling it and throw a Hail Mary and hope that Shaheed comes down with it. He has that skill set where Olave does not. And again, he's a free pick, so if it doesn't work out, I can move on from him very quickly. So I lean more him if I'm going to draft a Saints receiver, but again, I have him lower than where he's going, which might surprise you because I spoke highly of him when I drafted him in our 100th episode.
For sure.
But if I would take him, I'm comfortable taking him. He's a virtual free pick. He's got the touchdown upside, so I'll take my shot on Rashid Shaheed just based off ADP than I would Chris Olave, but he's volatile. Like, you don't know what you're going to get with him. Like, he can get you 2 for 130 and 2, but then he could also get you 0.
Yeah, for sure. He's the lesser Jameson Williams. That's how I look at him. They play very similar. They're both high touchdown guys if given the opportunity. They're not going to eat
Williams
a bunch of catches.
Just now developed into potentially
an actual receiver.
Where
for sure.
Shaheed's just never on the field long enough to potentially develop. Like, Rashid Shaheed maybe could be that, but he's always hurt.
No, I would be in on Shaheed if he had a quarterback that could get him the ball, and I don't think it's going to be consistent enough. I have him wide receiver 60 this year, so I'm cool taking him in like the last round, second to last round, because it's a free pick. It is what it is, and you're getting a guy that could be extremely high-end touchdown in an offense that doesn't have many mouths to feed, to be honest. There's also not many guys to go around. Like, you got Kamara to compete with. You got Olave if he's on the field. But God forbid if Olave goes down, Shaheed's the guy. And it's not even a comparison.
Yeah.
Like, sure, they traded for Devon Vele, but it's going to be Shaheed at the end of the day if Chris Olave's not out there.
Vele, he's going at wide receiver 75. I have him at 74. I do think he ends up playing more than Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is going at 9. He was wide receiver 96 last year. I have him at 85. So I think Vele he's just going to catch more balls. I think Vele will be really good for Kellen Moore, what Kellen Moore wants to do and kind of just move guys around, take that underneath stuff. So he might end up being the more consistent option of this offense. We'll see, but I'm kind of out on the receivers, and if I'm going to take a pass catcher, sure. I would probably lean towards the tight end, Juwan Johnson.
He checks the boxes, baby. He checks every athletic box. He could be the number 2 option. He checks the boxes that we just talked about with Sanders from Carolina. He
finished last year's tight end 17. He's going as tight end 35 right now in Sleeper.
That's crazy. That's too late.
Taysom Hill's not there. He's out. He's hurt. Foster Moreau, he's hurt. So I have Juwan Johnson as my tight end 15. Last year, 50 catches, 548 yards, 3 touchdowns on 66 targets. I went back, I looked at his games with Rattler, and if you would have put them out, his pace would have been 65 catches for 813 yards on 91 targets. He's athletic. You know, he seems to only show up at the fantasy playoffs. He's always just kind of like fantasy playoffs. Season, that's Juwan Johnson season, baby. And you're just like, I'm in on him. Again, he roped me back in, and then he lets you down. He either gets hurt. Again, like, nobody could stay healthy in this room. But Juwan Johnson's free. There's the chance that he's just the guy here and, score touchdowns, big athletic dude. The tight end room is no longer crowded. That was always the kind of downfall was Taysom Hill and getting him involved in Foster Moreau last year, where it's really Juwan Johnson this year. So I do like taking my shot on him. I have him at 15. He's going as tight end 35, which is insane to me.
That is insane. At tight end 35, he only had one week where he didn't finish in the top 35 of tight ends. Yeah. It's not going to happen. Like last week, he had tight end 5, tight end 9, tight end 3, tight end 12, tight end 13. The one game, he had 10 targets, brother. Like 10 targets for a tight end is insane.
Mm-hmm.
If you have no mouths to feed, we're going to target someone, and it could be Jawan Jennings. So
Johnson.
Yeah, I always do that. I always get this guy's name wrong, and I apologize to him. I'm not crazy high on him. I have him around Mason Taylor. I have him like tight end 26, I think, around that range.
That's fair.
But he's in that ballpark of those athletic tight ends that could take the step up if the team needs them to. If they're giving way more targets just because of their athleticism, they're going to cook in fantasy football. So I'm in on Johnson. I'm in on like Chig and Theo Johnson and Sanders. They're all the same in my eyes, and I want one of them late in the draft.
There's like a tight end tier that's just like 20 dudes, and it's like pretty much anyone from 15 down is sand clump. You're just shooting for upside, targets, touchdowns, whatever you can find there. All right. Let's predict this division.
Well, I think we could both honestly say the Bucs are at the top and the Saints are at the bottom. So
yes, it is. This is the Tampa New Orleans sandwich for sure. I do have the Bucs 1. I do have the Saints 4.
I have the middle, Atlanta, Carolina. So Tampa Bay at the top, Atlanta 2nd, Carolina 3rd, New Orleans 4th.
I have them flipped. I have the Panthers finishing in second place. I almost have the Panthers as a playoff team. I don't.
Ooh.
So, spoiler alert for next week's episode. I think the Panthers win 8 games this year. I think they're going to be an 8-9 team.
I think they're 7-8 wins, but I think the Falcons are in the same bucket. I really like Penix a lot this year. We like them coming out. And
that's fair.
I think they're going to cook a little bit more than people think.
Yeah, I think Atlanta and Carolina are two similar teams. Like they're going to be a game separated.
They're in the same ballpark, yeah.
Yep. One's going to win 8 games. The other's going to win 7. I don't think they fall below like 6.
Do both of them have the same over-under? What were their over-unders?
Atlanta was 7.5. Carolina was 6.5. I think they both.
Atlanta's a little high.
Yeah, I think Atlanta wins 7 games, so I have the under for them, and I have Carolina winning 8, so I have clearly the over for them.
I would say that both of them could get the over, though. 8 wins for both, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Atlanta, if all goes right, if Atlanta's defense plays good, Atlanta could be a playoff team.
Yeah,
but
they might be able to push the wild card spot. I don't think any team can push Tampa, though. I think Tampa's going to be really good this year. I think Vegas disrespected them with the 9.5 win total.
Yep. I think Tampa Bay is one of the better teams in the NFC, and I think they're a Super Bowl contender as well.
I agree.
All right. We got one division left, and it's the NFC West. We will not be talking about them on Tuesday. Tuesday, we will be doing our first ever Fantasy Darlings episode. So we're going to be bringing you a darling, a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, each of us. So 4 guys each. And then we will do the first ever drafted up darling. He will be our one person at any
consensus
position. Yep. So that'll be something to look forward to on Tuesday, and then Thursday we will wrap up our divisions and then give you our playoffs and our Super Bowl prediction on that episode.
Hell yeah, dog. Right. We're almost there, dude. We're so close to regular season football, real football. We're so close, dude, and I'm so excited. I cannot wait.
We have our first draft on this weekend, and then our home league drafts the following weekend. So I am very excited for that.
Yep.
And then, of
course,
that
following weekend, we also have our keeper league we set up for our podcast.
Yes,
thanks to everyone that reached out to us.
I was going to bring that up on Tuesday and kind of announce it. But yeah, that draft is the 30th. We will be drafting. We got some friends. It's a good mix of experienced fantasy players and newbies. Like I've brought up here, we're the Everyman's Football Podcast. We're not here throwing out a ton of analytic stuff at you. We're just kind of, talking ball.
We're talking ball. Yeah, we're talking ball like we're at the bar. You're just shooting the shit, It's what everyone wants to hear, just casual football.
So, exciting stuff to look forward to, guys. Drafted Up Podcast, wherever you watch or listen, like, rate, subscribe, review, follow, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. We appreciate all your support, and we will catch you guys next week with the first ever Fantasy Darlings episode.
Hell yeah. Appreciate everyone. Bye.